What's going on, guys? I'm Kane and this is Noodle, and today you're going to want to hang tight because we're going to be setting up a terrarium for Big Daddy, the Brazilian black tarantula. Alright guys, I figured we'd just go over a few things before I set the camera down and go hands off and start working on this. So for starters, as you can see, there's a background in there now. If you're curious as where that came from, well, the geckos had to take a loss. But if you're wondering how I got the background in there, so what I did was I took a piece of cardboard and I pushed it up. See, the side piece was already in there. It came with the terrarium like that. So I took a piece of cardboard and slid it up there and I marked across the edge until I could get to where it fit in there good. And then of course I measured the height and the length and got it stuck in there pretty tight. And then as for this piece, it was left over off the top, and as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of depth to this, and tarantulas do like a lot of substrate to burrow and whatever they may need, so we're going to use that as a riser so we can get a little more elevation there. The other thing is I was going to go ahead and show you what all we've got here. So we've got a few rocks, some wood, some fake plants, some bark, some dirt, and some green sphagnum moss. And we're going to see how we can get all of this incorporated in there and get Big Daddy set up. As you can see, the other tarantulas are just in there for now. It's a good enough spot for them. And you may notice that this little slider right here is set up, so it's a little off topic, but we'll go ahead and show you that. So I moved one of the baby geckos down into here, and we'll give you a look at him since I couldn't find him the other day, and you can just see how cute this little guy is. Again, he's a cute little fella. Anyway, so I just figured I'd run over those few things before I put the camera down and no longer have access to move it around. Alright, let's get started on this work. Alright, so let's get going with it. So for starters, I'll start out with our soil. So we just have a regular recta soil here. Just as good as any. Some say that the Brazilian black do like a little moisture. And some people say that most tarantulas shouldn't have any moisture. So I figure this is a good middle ground just because it can hold a little moisture if we needed to. At the same time, it can dry out to a good consistency. So, it's looking like it may take the whole bag here. I think it will. So, let it have it. Good thing I got this side of the bag, because I tell you what, I almost grabbed the smaller one. Sometimes it just pays. Get a little extra. Honestly, this just barely worked out to be enough. I could have maybe used just a hair more, but this will work. It'll work perfectly. So, we'll kind of get that leveled out, get us a good started playing field here, see what we're working with. Now, I know some people might say that as far as the rocks go, probably not a great idea to use rocks because it's heavy and the spider could burrow underneath it and it could cause it damage. But with the Brazilian black being a terrestrial, they are opportunistic burrowers, but they're not fossorial, so they're not going to be burrowing extensively. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. And of course, if we start seeing him burrow under the rocks, then I can always pull them out and redo it. So, if you're wondering on the type of rock, I'm pretty sure that this is a Sear stone. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm not right. I believe that's what it is. So, I kind of go about everything the same, kind of the same way as when you're doing an aquascape in an aquarium. best thing to do is just start throwing stuff in there and kind of get a feel for what you like. Sometimes you'll nail it right off the bat and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is what I want. And then sometimes you just keep taking it apart, redoing it, taking it apart, redoing it. That's alright. As long as it takes, as many tries as it takes, just keep nudging around at it until you find a spot you're happy with. So like right here, I'm thinking, there we go. That might be a little better nestled right in there. This looks like it might work into this corner a little better. So just like I was saying before, don't be afraid to just keep moving stuff, keep shifting it around. Eventually you'll stumble onto something you like, something will line up. Sometimes you can kind of go with patterns, like for say, this fits in the corner, that kind of fits along there, and this, as you can see, almost bees in there. Sometimes it's okay to do stuff like that, as long as it still looks natural. You don't want stuff to line up too much. Like this is kind of going this way, and this is kind of got this direction, so that kind of breaks that up, gives it a more natural look. If you start making everything linked together, it just doesn't look natural. It looks really forced. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. Let me stick that in there. No, not like that too much. Maybe over here. It's okay to go ahead and just start throwing everything in and kind of work with what you got and see if you like it. And if not, you can always pull some stuff out afterwards if you feel like it's too much. Sometimes you can overdo it just a little. But in my experience, I'd rather have just a little too much as not enough. Because then it starts to get a really boring look. Alright, so we've already got one issue here I see that I've created. So I wanted to use this cork bark here as his hide. So I kind of visualized it somewhere in the middle. So as we can see here, we've got way too much going on right here. I haven't left myself any room for this. So let's see how I want to switch this up right here. These two just don't look like they're adding that much to escape anyway. So maybe we'll go ahead and slide them off to the side. Put this over here. And I've got the camera set up to the side. I apologize if something might not be in a good view. Of course, once I get done, I'll pull the camera off the stand and we'll take a look around at everything and see what we've got finished up with. This being such a bigger rock, I think I may just go ahead and move him into the corner. Might be a better fit for over there. And again, though, it does hide a lot of its details. Let's see, first things first. Let's go ahead and get this hide in here so we can start working around that. So we know we got to have that in at some point. It's always good to put a hide, honestly, for almost any kind of animal or fish. There are types of animals that just choose to lay out in the open, but whether it be fish, or tarantulas, or snakes, or reptiles of any sort, turtles, it is a good idea to give them some kind of hide. That way, if they do decide they want to retreat away to something, they don't want to be stared down, then they have a place to feel safe. That's something to always keep in mind. I think we're starting to get onto something there. I do like that, but I just feel like there's not enough height here in this corner. I keep wanting to go back to this one rock here. I think it just has a better look. Unless maybe... We'll get us something worked out here one way or another. Like I say, don't be scared to just keep moving stuff around. You can easily get discouraged and feel like you're not making anything that looks good. But what I find is if you just keep shifting around and keep shifting around, one way or another stuff starts coming together, and then next thing you know you're like, oh man, actually that looks pretty good. And then you start feeling better about it. Maybe you shift another thing or two around. Next thing you know, you went from a scape that you weren't really happy with to now it's looking really nice. So, you know, just keep digging around with it until you find something that you like. So just like we had said here, we're going to give him kind of a retreat there. I could have used a whole cork bark. What I did is split this one in half though, is because for any reason if I do need to get him out of there, it's easier just to pick up that half a piece and get him out, rather than trying to have to shuffle him out of a whole tube. I think I'm really starting to like this. I'm getting a good feel for what we've got going here. I don't think I want to add any more ropes to it, so we can always come back to that later. We've got a few pieces of cholo wood here, just to add a little more variety to the texture and the look of the scape. Now see, here's kind of what I said, it don't look natural. See, if I put that one in that direction and that one in that direction, it just don't look right. It's too symmetrical. So, if you could kind of switch up the direction somehow. See, now that it's got kind of a different direction going, it just gives it a better look. Something like that. Looks pretty good like that. Although I'm not too crazy about this one here. That just clashes with that piece of wood. There. Honestly, I think that's not too bad right there. Alright. Got a few little fake plants right here. Got 4 of them. I don't necessarily know if I want to use all 4 or not. We're starting to get a lot more full here, so we don't want to get too overpowering with it. Now, I don't know that you can use, see, I'm just not filling these ones. I've got these 2 here, but I think that's just too much. It's too much in there, it's kind of taken away from it. So we'll just stick with these 2 right here. As I was saying, I much prefer real plants over fake plants. When I first started out in the fish hobby, I know this is tarantula, not a fish, but nonetheless it can be related. When I first started out in the fish hobby, I was all fake decorations, all fake plants. I mean, a whole tank full. And I just wasn't into the real plants. I thought it seemed like another job, something else to work at. But once I started using them, I really fell in love with the plants and found that for the most part they take care of themselves. So I'm going to do some more research, as you always should, and see if you can do real plants with tarantulas. But from what I've seen on the internet, it seems like it doesn't work out the greatest. So it's kind of the last finishing touch here. The only thing I really wish that we had a little more of, I wish we had a little more dirt, but I believe this will work out alright. Like I said, he's more of a terrestrial anyway, so I don't have to worry about him needing a lot of growing room. And honestly, this little bit of a barrier is probably a good thing. Not that these species are very flighty, but nonetheless, it does give us kind of a area to work over. So this is some green sphagnum moss I picked up. I felt like this would just give a last few touches here and there to really give it that real look. So what we're going to do is just kind of stuff this in a few spots. See what we can get going. I honestly thought about maybe kind of gluing some on this back wall. I still think that wouldn't look too bad. But unfortunately I looked and I don't have any glue right now. So we're just going to have to possibly save that for another day. We can always add something in later, and somewhere in an update I'll say we added to the wall. Maybe add dirt if I decide that it needs more. But, you know, just this last little finishing touches here kind of really add in some real life details. With this stuff, I'm not doing anything real fancy. I mean, at the end of the day, this is just a tarantula, so I don't foresee them doing that much damage to anything. So I think we'll be okay with just kind of loosely stuffing it in here and there. Not too wild about this piece. Looks like it's got a lot of dead in it, so dead, brown, whatever it is. Swap him out for another one. I gotta say, this is looking really nice. I'm very happy with how this turned out. And I have a feeling that Big Daddy's gonna like it too. You know, the first few times I really tried to set up or decorate a tank, I was very intimidated. I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm, of course, referring to aquariums because I have much more experience in aquariums. But it can kind of relate. And what I found is after the first or second time, I just got really comfortable with it. You just notice yourself doing stuff. You just start putting stuff in places. You don't even really think about it. It becomes natural. And I think when you can get that comfort level like that, that's when you'll really do some nice things. But to get over that barrier, you just got to do it. You know, you'll sit there and battle with yourself. You'll think of how you're going to do it. You'll try to plan it out in your head. And you just keep fighting with it. Ain't no way you can make it work out right. The best thing you can do is just start throwing stuff in there, get a rough idea of the materials you want to work with, start throwing stuff in there, and before you know it, you'll start coming up with stuff that looks good. Me personally, I can't sleep on it. Once I start something, I have to finish it that day. So I just keep pecking away at it. But I know a lot of other people say they've had success with, you know, just doing a little bit each day, chipping away at it. And eventually they come up with something they enjoy. I think that's a pretty good amount of sphagnum moss. I don't know that we really need any more anywhere. Maybe this stuff, pick up this stuff here. You could go wild with this stuff, just stick it everywhere. Honestly, it's really nice looking stuff. Alright, well I have to say, I am very happy with how it turned out. I think we're just going to call it right there. I believe this is going to be the final product. So with that, we'll go ahead and get Big Daddy and, well, first, one thing before I do, I'm not just spray and tamp down this dirt, just a little bit, just to make sure everything's set in place. So, excuse me while I cut through the camera. Working in tight quarters here. Like I said, I know that we don't need a high amount of moisture, but a little's not going to hurt, and it will help me kind of tamp everything down, kind of set everything in place. That should be pretty good right there. So we don't want to get everything too wet. We don't want this to be really moist for him. This would be a good starting amount. Enough to just kind of pack this dirt in over there. All set in place, all the things will stay where it rests. Alright, let's get him in here and see what he thinks. Hey buddy, let's get your pulp bark out of there. Around here working with me. Sorry. best thing to do is just be calm. He's a gentle guy. But you know, with anything, if you jump and act nervous, then they're going to jump and act nervous. Just be calm, let them move around, do their thing. Let him move himself into a position where he's comfortable. Like that, just go ahead and move in there. See what he thinks. Come on, Big Daddy. There we go. Would you look at that? He looks beautiful in there. You like your home, buddy? Go ahead and put this little watering dish back in here. Let's see. I think that turned out pretty good, if I do say so myself. Alright guys, well I appreciate you staying here with me for the trip, and I hope you like the skate. I think Big Daddy does, he's already checking it out. Alright, well this is our finished product here. Big Daddy's just sitting there chilling in the corner. I'm sure it'll take him some while to adjust to his new home. But I gotta say, I think it turned out pretty good. Definitely pretty happy with it. So, with that, we'll go ahead and lock him up in there. And hopefully, soon, we'll be going for round 2 over there. Just imagine we get this thing all done out like that one. That'll be looking nice. But anyway, this is our final product for today. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know I sure enjoyed putting together Big Daddy's tank. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to see who will get set up next.